Good morning and namaste to all of you. Mahashivaratri, the annual night-long worship of Shiva, God Shiva. It's a few days hence actually. We are doing an early observance, and I was thinking, what was a better way to worship Shiva than to you know sing the glories of Shiva in the praise of a Shiva, prayer of a Shiva, and what better way to praise Shiva than through the Shiva Mahimna Stotra, the probably the most beloved, most popular, most well-known, most magnificent hymn, Sanskrit hymn for Shiva. Shiva Mahimna Stotra. I want to go talk about that. It's something that is recited the millions of people who are Hindus in India and elsewhere every day at their home. Monks who, as a rule, do not frequent temples and do ritualistic worship, but they worship Shiva. Shiva is the god for monks, and so I remember this monastery. I stayed in ashram couple of nights in at the foothills of the Himalayas. Kailasa ashram. Kailasa is the abode of Shiva. The ashram is also called Kailasa ashram, where it is all about studying non-dual Vedanta. But one thing was a compulsory that we had to go to in the morning in the temple, and as the temple of Shiva, Abhinava Chandreshwara. So we have to go to temple and attend the morning puja, morning meditation, morning prayer, and that convenes with the chanting of this Sanskrit hymn, the Shiva Mahimna Stotra, and so on. And this is something that is chanted by people at in their homes, temples, Shiva temples across all over India and also all over world now. So I will talk about this. Of course, I cannot go through the entire hymn, so many verses. Few of them, initial ones. So also storytelling, because it's a full of the most charming stories. How do you deal with the stories? How do you get maximum benefits from these stories? Is a Pauranika, the legends, mythology. But the moment you use the English word mythology, myth means something that is not real, you know. But but the religions called the Reza Aslam said so myths are always true because they are not about a historical fact, historical event. They are also about a spiritual truth. So those are always true for all times, for all people. Vivekananda in one place he talks about how do you deal with these stories. This is don't scrutinize them for which one is true, because you will find the same stories with multiple versions in Shastras. In all of the true, because they meant to show us something, not to tell us about a particular historical event or a fact. This is a don't look at us, scrutinize it. It is a historical. Don't scrutinize it scientifically. Hmm? But he gives a beautiful analogies. It's like water washing over you. Let it wash over you. Listen to it. The reverentially let it wash over you, and let the flood water recedes. It will leave behind. He says it. It leave behind in you when a nuggets of a truth. Hmm? Leave behind some intuitive understanding, because it is difficult to put in language, but you will get it. So that's how I deal with this today. What is the story? Very nice stories anyway. Sometimes I think you would make a wonderful, science fiction series or something like that with the Hollywood special effects. You would really. So it's a start with the story, with the one of those mischievous, talented celestial being called Gandharvas, Gandharvaloka. Gandharvas are celestial, the heavenly musicians, artists, dancers, poets, singers, the very talented people. I always said like puppet at Julie's schools here, you know. So they are so the greatest of artists. They after they die, they go to this heavenly place, world of the Gandharva, world of Gandharvas. They often little mischievous. They're fun-loving people, very talented, but also they're little mischievous. One of these Gandharvas, his name was a Pushpadanta, the author of this Sanskrit hymn. So this Gandharva, once he was merely on his way, he was a great devotee of Shiva, Lord Shiva, the worshipper of Shiva. He was merely on his way, and according to multiple versions, so one version is he was on his way and is a celestial chariot. With his celestial chariot, this chariot is a flies to the sky. Another version is he was a flying to the sky, so he was a superpower, supernatural power, Superman or something like that. And then he saw this amazing garden below him. Then he swooped down. This garden belonged to the king Chitraratha. He was a devotee of Shiva. It's a most wonderful garden. And a Pushpadanta who had that superpower, supernatural power, invisibility. So he becomes invisible and a swoops down on the garden. And I see these beautiful flowers. And he's first started such wonderful flowers. They should be offered in the worship of Shiva. Hmm? So he goes straight away and he uh, plucks some, picks those flowers, steals them basically, and then he flies away again. And he worships Shiva with those flowers. Now, all wonderful, devotional, but it's not a moral, it's a immoral. He's stealing something that is not belong to him. So this is something you see the throughout the stories of the Gandharvas. They create some trouble. Now, Chitraratha, the king, he saw the garden was a barren. Where did the flower goes? And he asked the guards. Guards didn't see anything. He changed the guards. And then next night, before sunrise again, Pushpadanta swooped in and he saw the flowers which was blooming and he took them away again. Still, guards couldn't catch him. Then it happens through 3 4 nights in a row. Then the king thought, this is no human who is behind this, near human. It must be a celestial being. The hard way trap this being. How to trap this? What he did was he took the what is called a nirmalya. Nirmalya means the bell leaves and the flowers which have been offered to worship puja Shiva. So they become sacred after the puja. So he took them and he had them scattered around the garden, just like ordinary leaves on the soil. So the next night, when Pushpadanta swoops again to collect his bouquets or flowers, he accidentally trod upon the leaves, the bell leaves offerings, given to Shiva, the leaves which is on the ground, and immediately all his supernatural powers went away. He lost all his powers, glory, and he became a normal person, visible to the gods, who was immediately rushed in and a caught hold on. He tried to become invisible, not working. He tried to fly away, not working. I mean, one version says that the chariot was become just an ordinary chariot, couldn't fly anymore, couldn't become invisible. Hmm? So he was in one version of the story is that moment he composed the hymn to praise Shiva and to repent for his misdeeds, Papa Karma. Another version that is thrown into the prison. Without all his powers, he was lost his glory, all his supernatural power thrown into the prison, where he repentance in tears. He composed this hymn to Shiva. Push Shiva. And Shiva appears before him through this bhakti and restores all his glory and blesses him. All his supernatural come back again and releasing him from prison. So that is the story. Pushpadanta, the composition of this beautiful hymn, Shiva Mahimna Stotra. So we are going to. There is also a slight addendum to story. After being released, Shiva appears before him, and after being released from prison, Pushpadanta became a slightly vain. He thought, look, I have composed the greatest hymn to Shiva, the poem. This is my glory. And immediately, Nandi, the bull, the Shiva's bull, vehicle bull, who was there, always with Shiva, Nandi grinned at him, and on the gleaming teeth of the bull, he saw the entire hymn was already written there long before he composed it. So that smashed his ego, his ahankara. It's not by his own power that he was able to do this. Out of the grace of Shiva himself. So that's the story. I will chant the Shiva Mahimna Stotra, some verses, and I talk about a little bit. So it starts like this. Mahimna Param Te Parama Vidisho Yadya Sadrushi Stutir Brahmadika Nam Apitada Vasannas Tvoye Gira Ata Vachasya Sarva Swamati Parinama Vadi Grinan Mamape Shastotre Hara Nirapavada Parikara. What does this mean? Verse. He starts off by saying, he's praising thee, O Lord Shiva. He praising thee by one. So someone who is ignorant of thy greatness, ignorance of thy greatness. In that case, even the praises of Brahma and all the other gods, they are inadequate because they also do not know the glory, the celestant of the glory. And if it is all right, not a blameworthy, if someone praises the according to their powers, supernatural power, what are their capacities, in that case it's all right. Then in that case, even the some humble offerings which I am composing, this is also without a blemish. So it starts off on a very humble tone that even the gods play they cannot praise you. So even if praise somebody or something, that it depends upon knowledge. One must know what one is praising. That becomes a difficult conditions because when it comes true, God, who knows God, who knows the extent of the magnificence and the greatness of a God. In that case, who is qualified to praise God? Swami Vivekananda, once he was asked, why don't you write a biography? You know Sri Ramakrishna more than better than anybody else. So why don't you write a biography of Sri Ramakrishna? And he replied in a Bengali phrase. He says, she's got the banner godu. She's got the banner godu. When here was the practice to make clay images of Shiva and worship. Clay. From some time, if the person who is making the image of a not a good crafts of it, maybe a child. So instead of looking like a Shiva, it looks like a monkey. So that a phrase goes, So the Bengali shows says that goes says that whereas you start off trying to make an image of a Shiva, end up with the monkey. So Vivekananda said that, when he was asked why don't you write a biography of Sri Ramakrishna, he says this, going to start off writing, making an image of a Shiva, and I end up with the monkey. That means I cannot. And whatever even the best effort that I put forth is nowhere to close the other what Sri Ramakrishna was or is. Just by the way, this hymn is so popular, so well known. Vivekananda quoted from this in the World Parliament Religions, the first talk he gave on 11th September 1983 in Chicago. In that first talk, there was a verse which he quoted from this hymn, which I will come to later on. So, one must know something about God, but there it becomes difficult because Brahman, the ultimate reality, the absolute reality, exists as consciousness bliss, is a beyond all that attributes, so nirguna nirakara, beyond all attributes. So it's never an object of a knowledge. Then how can you know Brahman? Or Brahman as a God, as a creator, as a preserver, destroyer of universe, is a so full of infinite auspicious attributes. Saguna Sakara. I am translating from the commentator of Ramanuja Acharya, who is a great devotee of God. And in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, the first sentence is a one page, where he writes about the auspicious qualities of a Vishnu, God Vishnu. So there is a so many auspicious, wonderful, infinite qualities of a God Vishnu, who is capable of mentioning all of that. In either case, God beyond all attributes, absolute reality, or a God with attributes is impossible for anyone to adequately praise God. So that what it is saying, that avidusha, those who do not know avidusha, they will try to describe you asadarishi. It will not be like you, what you truly are. It will not be an adequate this description. And who can know you? Who can know you? O Shiva. So this is a story. Yes, another story about this. Who can know Shiva? Who can know Shiva? When the universe was created, the story that Vishnu, God Vishnu, the Lord of the universe, he is always a preserver, lying on this cosmic serpent in Akshira Samudra. From his navel comes the lotus which blooms and which Brahma sitting, the creator sitting. The Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, there are three deities. In Vishnu is the preserver and the universe, and Brahma is the creator of this universe. And Maheshwara or Shiva is one of the aspects, is there as a dissolve or destruction the universe at the end of a one cycle. So, in popular iconography, in a Hindu iconography, you will see Vishnu reclining from the navel of a Vishnu. There is a lotus blooming, and on that Brahma is sitting, who will proceed to create the universe. So Brahma creates the universe, and he happens to look down and sees a Vishnu and says, "Who are you?" And Vishnu says, "I am your creator." Brahma says, "I create the universe. You my creator? What do you mean by you are creator? You are nobody." And so they start quarreling about who is the creator, Vishnu or Brahma. And the gods becomes scared of this quarrel between Vishnu and Brahma. So they appeal to Shiva to settle this quarrel. And then Shiva appears before them in a pillar of radiance or light of fire, which stretches from one on the universe in the other hand. It is a very popular story, well-known story. So this is a tower of light stretching from one end, from the top to the bottom. endless bottom. Don't ask me how there is a top and a bottom to the universe. That is just take it as a for example. Swami Vivekananda, he said to say this. So there is a pastor, the small town in somewhere in the United States. He is giving a sermon on the creation of the universe. So God created the universe and He set it out on the fence to dry. Fence to dry. Somebody asked, where did the fence come from? And the pastor will furious. You keep quiet. He will destroy the all theology. You keep quiet. He destroyed all theology. Celestial take it. It is the top of the universe and the bottom. And the pillar of a fire extended all the way, all the up and all the way down, all the way up and all the way down. Whoever sees the top up on the bottom of this pillar of a fire, pillar of a radiance, they are a great, they are a greater, either a Vishnu or a Brahma. Brahma says, okay, I accept the challenge. He's a Rajasik, he is the creator of this universe, a dynamic, and is a mount, is a swan. He rides on the swan. She goes on this swan, and I will fly to the top of the universe, and I find out the upper limit of this pillar of fire. Vishnu is very humble. He says, all right, I will dive down, go to the bottom of this universe, get to the bottom of this. What is this pillar of a fire, and what is it is extended? So he takes up a form of a Varaha, the boar, the cosmic boar, the Varaha Avatar is there. So he dives, they shoot in the downwards. Santa Brahma flies upwards, flapping up on his span. He travels and travels and travels, and years pass. Neither comes to the end of this endless pillar of a fire. Now Brahma is tired and a swan probably can't take anymore. And so Brahma thinks, what do I do? If I go back and supposing Vishnu has found the bottom of this and he will lord it lower and he says, I am a greater than you. So he decides to lie. And he, those who lie, they always get for weaknesses. He says, I will have weaknesses to back me. He gets a hold of the secret cow and he tells us a secret cow that you you tell Vishnu that we were at the top of the this Jyotirlinga, the linga of fire, of light, and he was sprinkling it with your milk, for milk on the Shivalinga, and then he gets a hold of that Aketaki flowers. It's a beautiful flower, and tells the flower, you give false witness. You know that you are on the top of the Jyotirlinga. You put flowers on the Shivalinga, flowers, leaves, milk and water. So both of them said, all right, you are the boss, Brahma. They come back, so they come back, Vishnu comes back, and Brahma says, well, did you find the bottom of did you get to the bottom of this? Vishnu says, I am sorry, but I didn't. I couldn't find it's the bottomless. It is a bottomless. All these years of traveling and I couldn't get to the bottom of it. But Brahma says, I got to the top of it. I got, and here are my witnesses. So somebody is making a bigger claim and immediately produces a witness that there is something official there. Here are the witnesses. And the cow said, yes, I was the top of the Jyotirlinga. And then the flower also said, yes, I was put on the top of this radiance, pillar of a fire. And then Shiva, is a blooming voice comes and says, oh Brahma, shame on you. You are a cheater, you are a creation of the world, and you tell these lies. So from now on, Vishnu will be worshipped as I am worshipped. But nowhere in all the lands you be worshipped. There is only one temple of Brahma, I think, Pushkara. is there. Otherwise, nobody worships Brahma. And then he told the secret cow that a fire on you, the lion. And so from now on, you will lick dirt with your tongue. So, and a flower, ketaki, fire on your lion, will never be used for worship. If in fact that is true, the ketaki flower is not supposed to be used for a worship of a Shiva or for a worship of the gods.